It's just about 2 weeks until Britons will head to the polls in the general election. It was about 2 weeks ago that Rishi Sunak ordered an election for July 4, with the announcement getting off to a rather soggy start.
Now is the moment for Britain to choose its future, to decide whether we want to build on the progress we have made or risk going back to square one with no plan and no certainty.
Now, Sunak calling the election did come as a surprise to many people within his own party, given there were still 9 months until an election had to be held. Not only that, but the UK is facing the highest inflation in 40 years, meaning that holding off the call may have made more time for economic stability before the election. Now, last weekend, multiple polls were published at the halfway mark of the election, and they all point to a fairly grim picture for the Conservative Party. And they also follow both the Conservatives and the Labor Party releasing their plans should they take office after the election. It's also just days out before voters begin to receive their postal voting cards. A poll in the Sunday Telegraph showed 46% support for Keir Starmer's Labor Party, up 2 points on the previous poll 5 days earlier, while support for the Conservatives dropped 4 points to 21%. This lead over the Tories in the polls is the greatest since the shortest-serving Prime Minister Liz Truss was in office. An additional poll for the Sunday Times showed Labor on 40% and the Conservatives on 24%. Meanwhile, former Brexit campaigner Nigel Farage's Reform UK party, considered as a far-right challenger to the Conservatives, is sitting on 12%. This poll painted a very grim picture for the Tories, estimating just 72 seats to be picked up in the 650-seat House of Commons just behind me. What all these polls show is that there is not much support out there for Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives, who took office in 2010 and have had 5 Prime Ministers in that time, starting with David Cameron, followed by Theresa May, then it was over to Boris Johnson, then Liz Truss, and now Rishi Sunak. And with not long until voting day, it will be something close to a miracle turnaround for the Tories going off the polls before July the 4th.
But a vote for Labour is a vote to turn the page on all that. A vote for change. And finally, 3, because we have a long-term plan to rebuild Britain.
Guess who's back? Back again! I genuinely feel that Britain is broken, that nothing actually works anymore, that we're broken economically as our national debt explodes, as our debt repayments are now over £90 billion a year, interestingly, the same amount as the education budget. But of course, it's that generation that are going to have to pay for all of our mistakes for years to come.
With the temperatures slowly rising here in London, the pressure on Rishi Sunak from his party is also too.